If you're thinking about upsizing or upgrading your home, then the question I do hear a lot is, should I buy the new home first or should I sell the old one first? Before we do dive into that question though, I do want to encourage you to watch all the way through the video, because if you are serious about being able to sell your home and buy a new home, whether that's upsize, upgrade, newer, nicer, whatever, but if you're serious about wanting to do that, I do have a free gift that I want to offer you that I think you're going to find very helpful. Okay, so buying a newer or bigger or whatever, buying a new home, obviously it can be very exciting, but as I just said a second ago, what do you do first? Do you go out and buy the new home first, or do you sell your home first?
That got me thinking.
So let's go ahead and break down the two different options. Buying a home first, selling a home first, the pros and the cons to both options, but also what you can do, what you can do to help either choice that you go with have just a little bit better opportunity for success. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's start with this. The pros to buying your home first are you have more time to find the right home. There's no pressure of having to go out there trying rush, hurry up. We have to hurry up and find a home before our house goes and sells and we end up finding ourselves homeless. When you do buy your home first, you're not in a rush. You're not out there trying to manically find something. We have to let's buy this before our house sells. And you end up finding yourself buying a home that you don't actually really love, or maybe you don't even really like all that much. Another, you definitely avoid temporary housing. Because if you say, Jose, that's not going to be me, we're not going to settle for something that we don't love, which is great, first of all, that's good that you do that. But what if you don't find that home before your house sells? Well, if that happens and this sells too quick, now you could potentially find yourself in a situation where you're having to stay somewhere temporary, whether that's with family, whether that's with friends, whether that's a short-term rental. I've even heard of people staying in a hotel until they find their next home. And obviously for most people, they probably would rather not do that. So again, buying your new home first ensures that you avoid all that. Another pro to buying first is that you're going to find yourself in a much stronger position to negotiate from. Because most sellers, they would rather not have a buyer that comes to them with an offer with a contingency, meaning that offer is contingent on making sure that their house sells in order for them to actually go forward with buying your house. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you though, in most typical markets, something like that, it's not usually a deal breaker. But if it's a competitive buyer's market, it could be. Let's do this. Let's put it this way. Let's say you're selling your house and you have two buyers that come with an offer to purchase your house. And the absolute only difference between those two offers, everything else is absolutely identical except for one thing. One has the contingency, the other one doesn't. Which one would you rather take? Granted, it's probably not too likely that you're going to have that situation where you have two offers that are completely identical. Everything in the offer is the same except for the contingency situation. But again, if it did happen, I mean, it's possible if it did happen, I mean, it could kind of put you in a slightly less powerful situation or position there. Again, though, if you did buy your house first, though, it allows you to avoid that. As I just said, it allows you to be in a much stronger negotiating position. Hey, real quick, if this is your first time here, my name's Jose. I am your SoCal Realtor. If you are thinking about buying or selling a home, don't hesitate to reach out. My team and I, we've helped many people just like you, and we're here and ready to help you with your real estate needs too. But let's get back to the video. Of course, though, there are a few cons that do come with buying your home first, such as you could potentially find yourself with two mortgages. Now, unless you're in a position where you could handle a second mortgage, most people though are not. But if you do go out and buy your new home first and then come back and try to sell this one, and well, what if this one doesn't sell right away? What if it took a little bit longer than you were expecting to get sold? You could potentially find yourself in a situation where you have two mortgage payments until it does sell. There's also the case of a larger cash reserve needed. I know. What do you mean by that, Jose?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
The benefit though of having a house already is that you get to use the proceeds from the sale of that house to be able to help you buy your new one, to cover things like the down payment and the closing costs. But if you're buying that new home first before you do sell that house, well then you don't have those proceeds to use. So you're gonna have to come up with that out of pocket to cover things like down payment and closing costs. Another con to this though is that the sales price for your house, it could be a little uncertain, because if there's a market shift before you're able to get that house sold, well, what if you're not able to get the sales price that you were looking for, or the sales price that you were counting on from the sale of that house? And and you were counting on that money. That could potentially leave you in a tough spot. Here's a few things I would recommend doing if you are planning to do that. Go out and buy your next home first. That can kind of help reduce some of the stress and also help offset some of these cons. First of all, you could get a bridge loan, which is a short-term loan. It's a temporary loan that helps you buy the new home that you're looking to get while you are waiting for your current house to sell. Another idea is if you wanted to use a home equity line of credit on your house for the purchase of your new home. This one, of course, obviously it's going to be required to be paid back once you do sell your house. I kind of hit on this one earlier, but that is making your offer on the new home contingent on selling your current house. But again, just keep in mind, if it is a competitive market, if it's a strong buyer's market, there is a chance that by doing that, it could weaken your offer a little bit. Now, the advantages of selling your home before buying a new one are, first of all, you know exactly how much you can afford. There's no question marks. Once your home sells and you have that money in hand, you know exactly what you're working with to go out and buy your new home. Also, you don't have any risk of, like I talked about a minute ago, 2 mortgage payments. Because for most people, having 2 mortgage payments, that's probably going to be a no-go. We also hit on this one earlier, and that is it puts you in a stronger position as a buyer. In fact, actually it puts you in a stronger position as a seller too, because now you're not worried about having to hurry up, just take the first offer that comes along so that you can make sure you get the home sold in time. Of course, the cons to selling first are, if you're not able to find a new home quickly, you could find yourself needing to set up temporary housing until you do find your new home. Again, whether that's with a family, a friend, rental, whatever. Also, what if the market shifts? What if home prices go up before you're able to buy that new home? Sure, that's great if you're able to capitalize it on the house that you're trying to sell, but probably not so much on the home that you're looking to buy. And of course, you could potentially find yourself feeling rushed to find your new home. Because if your home sells quickly, and you get the sales price that you're looking for, that's not the problem. The problem is it sells quickly. Well, you could find yourself a little stressed trying to hurry up, find that next home. Like I mentioned at the beginning, where maybe you found something that you settled for and not something that you love. Now, there are a few things you could do, just as with buying first. With selling first, there are a few things you can do to try and offset some of the stresses here, offset some of the cons, such as you could request a lease back from the buyer of the house. If you needed a couple extra weeks before your new home's going to be ready, what you could do is you could rent your old house back, the house that you just sold, you could rent it back from the new owners for those 2 weeks. It's not always a guarantee, though, that they will agree to it, so if you do need to do this, I would definitely make sure that you negotiate this up front before you do accept their offer. Now, if the leaseback is not an option, and we talked about this one earlier, which is short-term housing, I would definitely be sure to line this up in advance. See if you have family or friends or someone that can take you in for that little bit of time, or you could look to identify maybe a month-to-month rental option if that's something that's needed, or even if you need to look at an extended stay hotel. And another option is another variation to the contingency. This one is you're selling your house contingent on being able to find a replacement home. In other words, being able to find your new home. Which is the right option to go with? Buying your home first or selling your home first? You're gonna hate my answer, but it really kind of depends.
I don't think I like you much.
For instance, what's your current financial position? Do you have enough money saved that you can use that to go ahead and make the down payment and cover the closing costs if you did choose to go ahead and buy your next home first? Of course, the other part to that though too is, are you in the financial position where you can afford a second mortgage while you still have this one in place? Some can. It's just that unfortunately many people, they're not able to qualify for a second mortgage payment. What about the market? We've already talked about this one a couple times now, because the current state of the market definitely could have an influence on which decision makes the most sense for you. Because if it's a strong seller's market, your current house, it could potentially sell a little bit quicker. If it's a strong buyer's market, your current house could take a little bit longer to sell. Another thing to keep in mind here with that decision of what makes most sense, and that's your timelines. Meaning, how soon do you have to move? Because if you have a hard, firm deadline of when you need to be there, like let's say for instance this, let's say you're relocating for work and you're moving out of the area, out of state, whatever it is, but I have to be here by this day. That's my start date for the new position, the new job. Then in that case, it might make more sense to just go ahead and buy that new home then worry about selling. Or I guess there is a second option to that. I guess you could go ahead and relocate, rent short term, sell your house, then come back around to buying later. Another thing to consider is what's your tolerance of risk and stress. If you consider yourself more of a safety and financial security type of person, then I would say that it sounds like selling first is probably going to be the better option. Now, if you're thinking, Jose, your recommendation, I mean, it's all over. You're not giving us, this is the right answer. It's because there is no right answer. There's no one clear-cut right choice to make, and all other choices are, they're all foolish. Yeah, that'd make things easier, right? Seriously though, it's about answering some of the questions that I had for you here, discussing those with your agent, identifying what's going to be the best option that best fits you. And then of course, once you do have that option that you've chosen, what can you do to offset some of the stress, offset some of the cons that come along with that choice? Remember, you do have options that can help, such as the lease back that we talked about earlier. Of course, be sure that you talk about that with your agent. But in short, it allows you to sell your house, rent it back for a set agreed time. It could be anywhere from maybe a few days to a few weeks, but usually it's not going to be longer than 30 days. Of course, if you do need longer than 30 days, definitely something that is absolutely going to need to be negotiated with the buyer of your house before you accept their offer and open escrow. Can you do that while you're still in escrow? I mean, sure, but you do have a lot less leverage at that point though. There's also bridge loans, which I believe I mentioned earlier. These are short-term loans which allow you to go out, buy your new home, then come back and start the process of selling your old house. And then once it sells, obviously pay off the bridge loan. Typically, there is a time limit with these on just how long before the bridge loan needs to be paid off. Usually you have like, I'm going to say 6 to 12 months. So you do have time, but I wouldn't drag my feet though after you do get the bridge loan. And it's not uncommon to get your offer accepted with a contingency that says your offer is contingent on getting your home sold, or the other contingency I did mention, which is you're selling your house contingent on being able to find a new home. So of course, if all else fails, have a backup plan. Do you have family? Do you have friends that you can stay with until the new house that you're purchasing closes escrow and is ready for you to move in? From my own personal experiences though, this one, it's not really most people's favorite for obvious reasons. Most people don't want to move in with someone else, but the first three here definitely are pretty popular for most people that are planning to upgrade or upsize their home. My advice though is be sure to connect with an agent that has experience in this, because we're not talking about an agent that just is going to be helping you buy a house, or an agent that's just going to help you sell a house. We're talking about an agent that is going to help you do both at the same time, or at least as close to the same time as possible. And believe me, it takes a little bit of experience to be able to maneuver all of these moving parts together. Hey, glad you're still here, because as I mentioned earlier, I do have a free gift for you. In fact, actually bonus for you. I have 2 free gifts for you. Because listen, if you're looking to sell your house and upgrade or upsize to a new home, to purchase another home, I have 2 free gifts for you, and that is my free home seller's guide and my free home buyer's guide. Both are packed with a ton of information designed to be able to help you go through the process of successfully selling your home. Be able to help you not just sell it, but be able to maximize on the sales price. As for the buyer's guide, it's designed to be able to walk you through. Now, if you've been through the process of purchasing a home, part of this guide, I'll be honest with you, it might not necessarily pertain. I mean, you might say, hey, I already know that part. But my goal though is to be able to ensure that you have all the information, everything necessary that's going to help you be able to do that, to be able to help you sell your home and buy the next one. You can download both guides down below in the comment section below. Of course, if you do have any questions at all though, or again, if you are thinking about buying or selling a home, my contact information is also below. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, until then, catch you on the next one.